Hi friends, it's Rose here. First of all, happy holidays and a happy new year from me. In the last devlog, I built an entire character creation system for the game. That, along with creating a new character sprite style from scratch and deciding to switch to the Unity engine and learn C#, made autumn 2021 very busy for me. So this month I took a much needed break, played the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion, yay, and celebrated Christmas with my family. But I did find some time to work on one thing for the game related to this time of year. Christmas trees. Well, more like normal trees actually. Yes, that's right. I found some time to improve the trees that are currently in the game. In this devlog, I'm going to reveal them and go through my process with you. Once upon a time, there was a girl. Her biggest passions were video games and storytelling. She wanted to combine those two passions and make a story-driven RPG game. But with zero budget and zero coding experience, how could she do that? Well, she's doing it. Here it is, Raindrop Chronicles, Roots and Rumours. It's the first episode in an ongoing 2D fantasy RPG video game series about sentient objects trying to find their place in the world. I created these trees back in the summer of this year, summer 2021. I knew that these trees were not going to stay like this forever. They were okay. I was just really happy to have made the decision to switch to custom art 100% for the game. That was a huge step. And there's elements of the art that I absolutely love. Parts of these trees I really like. I love the shape. I think it's a really strong shape. But there's parts of it that I wasn't completely in love with, parts of the tree. So that's why that was the priority, to improve out of all the environment art. But before I show you, I want to say that one of the most important things that's helped me in creating pixel art is collecting a lot of different references from lots of amazing artists. It's not so I could copy them, but the opposite. I study the references so I can do something entirely different with my own work, while taking into account what makes all of these pieces work so well. Because it's really important to me that this looks unique and has its own style, distinct style. Because with pixel art, it's very easy for it to all look similar. Here is the tree leaves, so if we take that layer off, there'll be no leaves, and this is the wood. Let's start with the leaves. So if we just get rid of them one by one, you can see this is like, we get into the silhouette of the tree here now. I am a fan of this base shape, so when I started to build version 2, the improvement of the trees, I actually decided to keep this base shape. What I did remove was these here. I've kept the same colour scheme, but the actual shaping and my approach to designing the leaves has changed quite drastically. My main issue with the tree, this particular tree, it looks quite flat. I actually intended for it to look the opposite of flat. I wanted it to look round and full like a proper tree. We'll get rid of these. I completely removed those layers from the new version. I built version 2 on top of this dark green silhouette. This is the first bit. As you can see, lots of round blobs. Not very pretty actually, because it's the first layer. The next part was to add the spikes, which I sort of learnt from the first version, going around the tree with those repeated leaf patterns. It starts to bring it to life a bit more and make it look more like a tree rather than just blobs. I have a layer here called shape to hide it, because we don't want it there when we're saving it obviously, and I keep it there so I can copy and paste these shapes when I'm making a tree. And I just go round the blobs. These blobs I made here, I just have a new layer and go around the blob, cover all the edges with pointy leaf shapes, make sure every single part is covered up. These ones here come in later, which we'll talk about later. We're particularly looking at these ones. It's these ones here that I use to create this. Here it is on this one, and on these ones, and here as well. That's the first colour. And now this is when the second colour layer comes in. Same thing again, more blobs. So it's more blobs again, except this time the blobs are a little bit smaller. You can still see a bit of the dark green, the darker bit peeking from under. And it looks bad at the moment, of course, because we haven't done the second part yet. It always looks bad when it's just blobs. Here we go, here's the final layer. Again, we have this leaf shape, and it's the same one. And it gives the tree its own like little distinct sort of identity and aesthetic in a way, and I can make many leaf shapes like this for future trees. It looks so much better once you add those leaf shapes around. But we're not quite done yet, there's more details, way more details. These little shapes here come in now. I added them to the tops of the trees to just just add that bit more detail. And I also gave it an outline because that's kind of the sort of style. The character has an outline. I've got the character sprite here so we can see, so we can keep the same style. I didn't want to get too different. It's important to make sure the environment art and the character look like they're from the same game. I did add one more thing to the leaves. I added some falling vines. I haven't done any of the flowers or plants apart from that. This was a test to see how it would look. Over time I'm going to add more. I think Everbloom Forest needs to be full of plant life and flowers and detail there. So over time you're going to see more. On different trees there'll be trees with different types of plants and vines and flowers on them for variety, so it's not the same tree everywhere. I want Everbloom Forest to look lived in, old, like a forest that has really stood the test of time and been left almost as well. It's just been undisturbed. And I think the vines really help get that kind of message across, as well as, the almost dirty green wood colour. That's only part one, the leaves. We've got the wood next, obviously the trunks and the branches. All I really wanted to achieve with the wood was more detail. Again, I wanted the trunk to not look like a flat pancake. First, I did some branches. That really improves it, doesn't it? It almost looks a bit bare. So something's missing. Well, there's gaps here for a start, and although I like the gaps because that's more realistic to see gaps in trees, it got a bit too gappy in parts, so I added some branches to fill those gaps out, and it really works. I think it's again made the trees look really tangled and old and undisturbed. I don't think it's at 100% perfect here. I think this darkest green silhouette can be reshaped a little bit at the bottom, I'd say. So I added a lighter colour here. I wanted to start to get in some tree texture because we didn't have that in the first version. There will be some flowers and leaves and grass sort of covering up this lower end here, the lower parts of the tree, which is why I also felt it was important to not add too much detail here because it would just get covered up otherwise. Next colour is here, a little bit more detail, and as you can see, yes, we've added it to the top, and it's pretty shocking when you hide it and see the difference. And you realise how flat it was before and how smooth and perfect it looked. There's not even a blemish, not even a mark on the wood. And seeing it like this, it just makes it look like, oh yeah, that's wood that's been sitting in that forest for some time now. And then I added a little small touch. I added some sparkles. This is something that I might make animated, so sometimes they won't show and other times they will. It's a magical place. It's an enchanted forest and I want it to be pretty. I don't want it to just be overgrown and old and ugly. I want it to have pretty parts to it too, pretty elements. I'm not very experienced with environment art. I'm not, especially trees. Trees are like jumping into the deep end with environment art, I feel. So I'm quite happy that I've made this much progress and there's this much of an improvement with them. And this big tree here is going to eventually have something else, another feature in front of it. It's going to have a statue carving of some kind, and that will go in the centre, and it will be it might sort of overlap the leaves a bit too. It'll be quite tall, so that'll be quite fun. That'll be another layer, another object structure just in front of that tree. Save, and then we open Unity. Here are the new trees in Everbloom Forest. We're not done with the environment art yet, not even close. There are so many more elements that could be improved and added to this forest, such as adding more detail on the flat grass and mud path, adding flowers, plants, vines and moss to the trees and rock cliffs, adding waterfalls and improving water animations, adding bridges, ladders and other objects and structures, and adding animals and wildlife. I can't say for sure that what I've shown you in this video will be the final version of the trees that you'll see when you play the game. Maybe it'll be the final version, or maybe there'll be further improvements. We'll see. What I do know is improving and adding these things will be a very gradual process over the course of the development. It's wise to find a good balance. I don't want to find myself only doing pixel art. There are other areas of the game that are important too, which is why in my devlog so far you've seen a little bit of everything, and that's going to continue. The next devlog will be about something else entirely. Something that is very important to do now that the character creation is done. I'll give you a hint. It involves introducing the story and characters. Be sure to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/RaindropRPG. Screenshots and sneak peeks are posted on there before anywhere else on the internet. Thank you so much to Fantasia and Mr. Radu for being VIP Patreons this month, and my other Patreons for believing in me and Raindrop Chronicles. I've decided to change things a little and include my £2 patrons on the list from now on, because at the end of the day, you are Patreons too. By being a Patreon supporter, you're helping me make my dream come true of continuing to work on this full time and bring the world of Raindrop Chronicles to life. I'll be posting YouTube Dev Diaries every month. They will be the best way to follow the game development journey, so don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. See you in 2022 for more Devlog Diaries. Hang on, wait a sec. That one's my... That one's my twin.